Bloomfield Board of Education to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbott?
Present.
Mr. Bryan?
Present.
Mr. Johnson?
Present.
Mr. Mellis?
Present.
And Ms. Parker?
Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Are you gentlemen going to start? You certainly can.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, next we have approval of the agenda. We have some changes, which you have, I believe, in front of you, the addendum. 7C deals with donors. Recognition reports. D deals with adding the word hash construction and $234,000 for roof replacement. 9B, students and programs. Deal with staggered start for the kindergarten, August 15, 16, 17, 20. 20 and 22 are staggered start day. 23 is the first full day for kindergarten students. And 4 is the middle school registration done. 9C, 3, approve the following request for unpaid dock days. And that is it.
And then, Mr. Johnson, do you have a request there?
Yeah, I'd like to request under contracts, I believe, in the plan.
It's under 20A.
Yeah, 28, if you could put a voting line in. My wife is actually, I'm gonna abstain from my wife's, contract with but
Okay, so that takes care of approval of the agenda. And so are there any questions to go along with the changes? If not, could I have a motion to approve it? Is there a second? Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bryan?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
yes.
Mr. Mellis?
Yes. Number 5 is approve the minutes from the following meetings: March 12, 2018 regular meeting, and March 21st planning meeting. March 21st, Mr. Mellis' wedding anniversary. It's been 500 years. 48. But I've been telling people right along 500. And some of them go, well, you know, you got white hair. So. Anyway, anybody have anything that needs to be changed from those minutes? I didn't see anything I loved, but I could. Okay, could I have a motion to approve those minutes then? I'll go ahead and second that one. So. And roll call, please.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Mellis?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
And Mr. Bryan?
Yes. And number 6 is public participation. Intermediate school updates.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I invited some friends here with me. I've had the privilege of having all 4 of these young men in my building. 3 of them are at the middle school since I don't have 5th grade, and one of them is in 3rd grade. And part of my reason is bringing them here is to recognize them. They're part of a Destination Imagination team, and they are actually going to the global finals in Knoxville, Tennessee in May, and they're currently in the process where they're raising some funds, and we want to try helping them out as much as possible. We're going to do a pajama day and some different things like that, but I brought them here not only because I think I want them recognized for all the good work they're doing, but I'm going to have them give you a little overview of what they're doing as well, so I'm going to share my time with them if that's all right. Absolutely. All right. Go ahead, Logan.
DI is an international nonprofit creative problem-solving competition where teams of 2 to 7 kids compete to solve one of 6 challenges. The 6 STEM-oriented challenge choices are technical, scientific, fine arts, improvisation, and structure and service learning. DI is a program driven entirely by us, with an adult team manager via jury, only functioning as a facilitator. In DI, students learn how to think and not what to think. In the DI competition, there are 3 main scoring elements. Team choice elements, which are items that a team features to show off skills, talents, areas of strength, and areas of strength. There's instant challenge, where we have a short amount of time to complete a challenge by either doing a task, performance, or both, which we do not know about in advance. And the central challenge, my friend Logan Drury will explain.
So, we chose the Fine Arts Challenge, Change of Tune. Our team created a 2-act musical about a change of plans with music and lyrics. We also created a spectacle and a set change. We have learned to use a variety of skills, including carpentry, artistic design, sewing, theater arts, and more. Our solution, would you like to hear our solution to this challenge?
Sure.
Our solution to this challenge involved a group of friends going to Walmart to get eggs. But then, one of the characters got VIP tickets for a very expensive play. That's me. They, had a change of plans. Instead of going to Walmart, they went to go to the very expensive play. We changed the set from a road to a auditorium. And then when they got there, they waited a little bit and then found out that one of the speakers were broken, so the performance was canceled. And as they were leaving, one of the characters, me, forgot their hat and went back to go get it. But then one of the boys, Daryl, decided to dress up in a golden box and unleashed an avalanche on my head, and I fell down. And then after that, Act 2 started, and during intermission, Logan here dressed up as the Dr. Pepper guy and started yelling, "Ice cold Dr. Pepper here!" And then he went back and got a director's cut and smacked it and yelled Act 2. Then my best friend, Vanessa, went to go find me, but she then tripped next to me, but then a really weird kid who's really nervous around other people, that would be me, started walking around looking for us, because he wanted us to buy him some eggs. And so then he came to go stop him, but then he turned around and smacked him with a shovel. And then he fell down, and then he went and dug us out with a shovel, and then we sang a song about eggs.
So we put a lot of effort into that performance. Over 7 months, we've gone every Sunday to her house, her basement, and we built things and we made acts, and it was a lot of troubles. We had arguments and we had like brainstorming, and it was definitely our best year. So we had to go to a competition in regionals first with quite a few kids, and out of that challenge we got first place. So we were offered to go to a state challenge, and in state you had to get either third or higher to be offered to go to Tennessee, Knoxville for the overall biggest competition out there for the DI. And so we're really hoping we could go, and we need a lot of people to help support our fundraisings. And as you can see, we made duct tape flower type pens that you can write with, and we made magnet clips and other magnets with little pictures inside of them.
So we put some pictures on here of their performance and their journey and some of their props that they made, and these are some of their fundraising items that they're going to be selling at the carnival. That's their wall and their little car to go to Walmart. And then all the clips.
Secretary thing is coming up.
Teachers Appreciation Week.
Take orders.
There's gonna be a pajama day at the intermediate on the 20th. You wanna drop off any money?
All their stuff that they've accomplished.
That's wonderful.
I was gonna ask, how can we help with the fundraising? Obviously at the carnival, and then PJ Day, I probably will pass on wearing my PJ.
Really?
Probably out.
Your daughter will be excited. So.
Can we pay for Mr. Hunt?
Yeah.
Or have him get them face.
Or not wear them.
The teachers could put in for a fund for you to wear PJs one day.
But if we'd like to make another donation.
He'll talk about it.
Yeah, was gonna talk about what Global is. Go ahead, Carson.
Carson's gonna talk about the
Global Finals is the biggest celebration of creativity in the world. Globals is May 22nd to May 26th in Knoxville, Tennessee. Global Finals is mostly about the experience, not about winning, because there's a costume ball, pin trading, and other exciting activities. Pin trading is where you get pins from your local state and trade them with other states and countries at Globals. There will be approximately 17,000 people coming from 15 different countries. There will be Broadway stars and other companies coming to teach us fun stuff like robotics, dancing and singing, and other fun activities. We are going to be competing against lots and lots of teams. That is what Lobos is.
I commend the four of you for talking in front of a group like this. I commend you. That's very excellent.
Can I get $5 now?
Yeah.
Before I forget. Seriously.
I got a question for you though, Logan. Do you have to come up with a new
Thank you very much.
plan, or are you still gonna use the eggs skit?
We have been working on modifying it. We basically, it's been hard, but we didn't really have to do that much. His wasn't really that much of a major character. It was more like me, like I was
He's
more.
asking, can you use the same
Yeah.
performance that you did at Global?
Or do you have to change? Or do you want to change?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, but Logan can't go because of many different reasons, but so we have to modify it. And it's basically the same thing, just we're gonna share his roles that he had.
It's just really tough because everything moves a lot faster. For instance, like a lot of like his parts have been piled into mine. Like he was the main back scene guy, the one like pulling the cords, banging the drums, like turning on lights and kind of putting like the sound effects. And like after singing, he'd be like the echo, like we'd sing and he'd repeat it, and it was like a cute little thing. And now we can still do it, but it's a lot more overwhelming, and everything takes a little bit more time. And it's doable, but it'll be tough.
And they don't really have, they have basically a month and a half from the time that they qualify to be able to go. They have to spend that time fundraising, they have to spend that time working on costumes for the costume ball. They have to try and improve the performance, so they can't, you can technically start over if you want to, but most teams don't, because, it took them 7 months to get to the point where they were at, so, it's mostly about trying to improve it and make it better so you can win globals.
So how many teams are there, do you know exactly? I know there's
About
17.
1,400 teams in globals.
Wow.
There's different age groups too, there's elementary, middle level, and senior level as well, and they compete against the kids their age in the challenge that they're in.
About 50 teams are gonna compete out from like different countries like China and different states.
That's just in their category.
Yeah.
What the teams will be competing against.
Do you have the instant challenge as well, like you did at the regionals, along with the planned?
Yeah, it's
So that-
different each time. We're not allowed to talk about it until after goals.
Or you have to
But,
shoot.
but that's a component of
We
the
have to duct tape
challenge.
our mouths shut.
Yes, good try.
Are you guys the first team to actually make it this far?
In
It's been our
Blue
program for
Blue
what,
Hero,
about
yeah.
6 or
Blue
7
Hero,
years now?
this is the 18th year of the Globals, and, actually 20th year of the Destination Imagination altogether since they came from the Odyssey. But it's the first team from Bloom Carroll to ever go to Globals, and not only that, was the first team I checked within a 40-mile radius of here. The closest ones are like Hilliard or, maybe Brunsburg. I think Brunsburg did 1 year, but in the whole year, this is the first team from Bloom Carroll.
Are one of these young men related to you there, Mr. Miller?
Yes, Logan.
That one, right? Okay.
I forgot to mention, it's a really nice thing to also put on your like college resume and job resume that you went to globals, because like Carson said, it's the biggest act of creativity that in the whole world, and it's a good thing to keep in your head and your heart, and it's been a really big experience like for all of us. Like I said, he's been doing it for 2 years, I've been doing it for 5, 4, and 6, so it's been like a life experience.
It's a great learning experience for you guys, and this is what education is about, what we're trying to do. There's a lot of things we have to do, but what's most important is that you learn to work together, you learn to collaborate, critical thinking, collaboration, communication, the creativity piece. This is real life. This is what you'll do when you grow up and you start working with people, and you may disagree sometimes, and you may have to find a solution and problem solve and work things out, or maybe somebody's absent from work, so somebody else has to pick up some extra responsibilities. And those are all things that you're going through, and this is a great experience. And I know DI is a good program, but it's nice to have a team that has made it this far, and You guys should be commended for what you've done. So we're proud of you, and I know your parents are too. So good job.
I would agree with, yeah, I would agree with these guys, and my one comment would be, I am absolutely blown away by, you know, you mentioned the job world. I mean, you guys actually answer questions probably better than applicants I have sometimes sitting across from me who are college educated. So you guys are unbelievable where you're at today. I would just encourage you, obviously, to keep doing this kind of stuff, especially if you love it. So keep doing it.
And if we can, I think that maybe Leah and my mom could like send you the video of it so you could see.
Sure.
Yeah, and just to stress the point of, this is all them. Like, I'm just there to keep them focused and on task and everything else. I mean, they wrote the script, they built the props, they did everything. So, I mean, I just wanted to point that out, that, you know, it's all kid created, and that's what's fantastic about it.
We have to do that with him, we have to do that.
A lot of creativity there. That's great to see. Good job.
Lee, how much money do you guys need to raise real quick?
About $5,000.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
But thanks to like all the businesses we've gone around to and family members, we're all up to around like roughly $1,000 already, so.
Down to $300 now.
These are fundraising letters that are going out to local businesses to ask for sponsorship and donations.
Thanks.
Well done.
Yes.
Anything else, guys? Or
Oh, yep, sorry.
Mr. Millers, I was wondering, since you gave us a $5
Tax
donation, would you
deductible
want one of our
donation numbers
pens?
of where to send them.
Oh, go sell it again. No, I'm good, I'm good.
Mr. Feather, I just have one
Gotta
quick
give you one more
question.
pen to sell to someone else.
Did I teach you anything being your first coach?
I feel like you
No.
did, just to kind of, it was a big help to kind of just tell what the program was about. Because when I first wanted to do it, I thought it would just kind of be a thing where you went up on stage and kind of improvised. But then I did learn that it's a thing that you need to think through, and it's kind of like life. You can't just rush through it and try to get it done fast. You need to think it through and get the best out of it.
Oh, burning the midnight oil.
This is a tough act to follow now. I only have two more things. No
Sure,
problem.
that's what
Thank
you
you
say
guys
now.
for everything. The next part is student council. Last year, we brought back the student council to the intermediate, and it's just fourth graders that are on it. We have 2 representatives and an alternate from each classroom. This year, Aaron Freestad and Stephanie Gillenwater volunteered their time to be the advisors of it. And I just want to kind of highlight some of the things that they've done this year. Back in October, they did Socktober, where they collected socks for a homeless shelter. So, and then kids brought in socks and different things, and we donated to a homeless shelter. Veterans Day, they helped serve all the refreshments and did the cleanup afterwards at the church where we held it. They wrote letters to nursing home residents around December. They made kindness videos that they showed during library time. The kids actually made the videos, and Mrs. Gilmore recorded them with an iPad. We did kindness bracelets where we raised over $700, and we used some of that money. We have a family in our building that's going through some medical challenges right now. We also are going to donate some money to these guys as well. They're also buying some books for the library. We will put a special shelf where student council representatives pick some of their favorite books that we'll have for kids to check out in the library, and we want to add to it each year. And there's a little money where they want to do a couple other things for the building this year. So I was very impressed. Every kid got a bracelet, you know, and it was nice. I mean, it was a great week for the kids. They plan all of our spirit weeks, all the dress down days, and they might be after you to, you know, you might get, yeah, you might get that. So they're helping with our pennies for patients with the cancer this week, and they also decided they want to write letters to next year's student council representatives to kind of let them know what they need to know about the job and those kind of things. But they're highly dedicated. They had to campaign. Their peers had to vote for them and everything. So, I mean, they were bringing in candy and different things, you know, posters.
I hope it didn't cost as much as running for the Board of Education.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Candy works well.
Candy works better.
Definitely. So, but they have done a great job, and Aaron and Stephanie work really hard. They just jump in wherever's needed to help with it, and the kids really enjoy it a lot. So, and the last thing I have is we also, with our Title I and our special education, we're using what we call level literacy intervention. and they're leveled books, and they're more interest level, and they're nonfiction and fiction, like this, but they're for small group reading intervention. They focus on the fluency, the comprehension, the writing, the vocabulary, and it allows kids to work on books and reading skills on their level, and not so much carrying down a book that looks like a Berenstain Bears book or a Clifford book. If they have this out, they don't look embarrassed to hide or want to hide it from their peers. And it allows us to have a systemic, it's a research-based program, and we also benchmark the kids, which we assess them, quarterly on their reading skills to see, are they making the gains? And, with the pressure that we have with the third grade reading guarantee, we are using this with our after-school tutoring program, and we also use this in our summer school program. So. Any questions?
So how are we doing with the third grade reading guarantee in your building?
We're in a pretty good spot. We're about where we were last year with kids. I mean, we still have a few that need to, but they have several opportunities, and we will be offering summer school, which has about 2 or 3 testing opportunities as well.
So I can't remember, and we've got the curriculum laid there, but, so at what time of the year, have they already taken the third grade reading?
Yeah, they took it back at the end of October.
Okay,
and then we did the MAP testing, which is an alternate test that we can use, and we also did Iowa testing as well. And we have state testing coming up next week where, the kids have another opportunity, and we'll get those scores back, I think, about the 2nd or 3rd week of June. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Thank you. Good job, guys. Good job. Thanks for being here. Parents, thank you.
Student council program progressed more.
Yeah, they took off from where you guys left off last year. Yeah, you guys started a good thing and stepped up.
Years forward without getting involved. Because before there was like really deciding things, but now like there's like a middle school and like right now in middle school it's the career cafe and like signing up for like what you want. And I feel like both things is starting to like
Absolutely.
Thank you, Intermediate School.
Thank you, parents, very much.
And congratulations, Mr. Monroe, getting to teach in a new room. I taught 30 years, I never got to be in a new room.
You're welcome to stay. It'll be nice.
It'll be nice.
You're welcome to stay, but I understand.
getting to Boy Scouts.
There you go.
Oh, well, there you go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Very informational.
Thank you. Thanks, Leah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, number 7, treasurer's recommendations and reports.
Okay, item 7A is approve the March financial statements. Total expense $9,525,461.19. Of that, a little over $7.5 million through the consortium fund. Page 19 on the electronic copy. March is really our biggest revenue month of the year, really along with February, as we collect the first half 2018 real estate and public utility taxes. They're based on the new values that I went over with the board in January. Within the executive summary, we did exceed our estimates on real estate tax revenues by a little over $123,000 or 2.16%. And that's just basically more new construction than was anticipated. Same with public utility, and those numbers are laid out in the green report, line 1.010 and 1.020. When you have growth like that, it's important to try to isolate what is actual growth and what are things that are due to one-time scenarios. Delinquent tax collections are one-time kind of random things. So
have those gotten better in the past?
Fairfield County's always done a pretty good job of having a very high collection rate with property taxes, around 97 or 98%, which is one of the highest in Ohio. With that being said, the delinquent tax collections were up about 19,000. One other thing that's new with the tax, some of the tax reforms that happened both at the state level and the federal level that could impact us is there is a significant deduction in how many of your real estate taxes you can deduct from your income tax. So there were some people who went ahead and prepaid in 2017 to get that last deduction on their property taxes. We haven't been able to isolate that, but certainly if that kind of skewed the data a little bit too, we'll remove that. As we go through the end of the year here, I'm just kind of starting to point out some areas where really in the purchase services why we're a little over, and I just kind of noted that here with some of the special education Very worthwhile programs. However, these things are unfunded mandates that you're kind of at the mercy of the student population and those various areas that they are able to get scholarships for special needs. But current carryover is a little over 5.3 million. Again, that'll decrease here as we finish out the fiscal year, but still we're in a good spot. So, any questions on the financial statements or the checks written during the month?
I've got a question, and it's really financial, but yet then again, it's a little longer, I guess, than the usual financial question. So, would the levy pass, let's say, coming up in May, and then would we eventually get the money from the state for this building? How much can we put on this building to pay it down, or a new building should it pass? What are we looking at to get from the state of Ohio?
It depends on where you are in your master plan. We're at 18% of qualifying expenditures, so we've already accrued about 3.6 million of credit for this building, which could increase based on our student population, could decrease, but it won't. I don't think it'll move too far from that amount. The calculations we've been given are anywhere from 9 to 10 million. If we do pass in May, we stay in the expedited program. We stay with the Facilities Commission program. 18% of those expenditures, we've been told anywhere from 9 to 10 million that we could allocate to a potential phase 3. If we're still not in CFAP in phase 3, then the money that you get has to go down to pay down debt on existing buildings. So at that point, it would go down to pay down debt on this building, theoretically.
The only other question I have, since you mentioned utilities plural, I got a call today from, I don't know if it was, seeming like it was First Energy. I said, since you pay all your electric bills on time, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking, I don't even have First Energy. So what are we talking about with, what different companies do we have for utility taxes?
The majority of that is the Rockies Express pipeline, where they're transmitting natural gas through the pipeline that basically runs catty corner diagonal through our district. We do have some electric lines, some electric transformers, some power plants from South Central Power, and also some phone lines, telecom. But the majority of it's the natural gas pipelines for public utility.
Anybody else have any questions? Anything, Matt? Good. Seeing no questions then, and we have a voting line on page 1 and 2. So, to page 1, ignore the questions. Anybody like to make a motion on approving the March financial statement? Second. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Mellis?
Yes.
Thank you. Item B, asking for board's approval to allow us to create the following scholarship fund. Fund 007-9700 of the Leah Jackson Memorial Scholarship Fund. Page 39, I apologize, page 36 of the electronic copy, hard copy from Mr. Mellis, in conjunction and communication with the parents, as well as Mr. Galkey at the high school, Mr. Hahn, myself. We've put together the purpose, the financial source of the award, and the procedure for selection of the scholarship recipient. All three of those are required per policy to create a scholarship fund, and certainly we're very thankful to be able to present this to the board tonight. I've already gotten quite a few donations, as you'll see in the next item, and we're happy to have this the scholarship, this proposal, and to be able to provide this each year to a Bloom Carroll student. So, any questions on the creating of the Leah Jackson Memorial Scholarship Fund?
Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve? I'll make a motion. I'll second it. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Mellis?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Thank you. And along with that, we've got quite a few donations to recognize tonight, as listed, but certainly that doesn't diminish all of the donations that are listed both on C1 through 14 and then 15 through 19 on your addendum. With the, again, at the wishes of the family, donations in memory of Leah to the Bloom Carroll Cheerleading Fund account. Those will be tracked through our cheerleading account in the 300s funds. We also have obviously a generous donation from BCYA for the Leah Jackson Memorial Scholarship Fund, and we also have a very generous donation to go to our choir and vocal music department. So all these individuals and groups and organizations, pending approval tonight, will be sent a letter thanking them for their generosity.
And we'd like to, certainly like to thank them all myself. So, anyone have any questions about and there was a 15 through 19 also at the top of your agenda. Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I was actually like, Mr. Brad and we were able to do a fundraiser for the BCYA, our youth association. I'd like to actually highlight a couple individuals that were very generous. Sean Matheny Dentistry. Sean Matheny owns that. He actually made a nice sized contribution, as well as local waste management with Mr. Catron and Jimmy Johnson with American Mobile Leasing. Just wanted to get that and highlight them as well, because they made very significant contributions to that.
Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none, can we have a motion to approve? So moved. Thank you. Is there a second? A second. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Moss?
Yes.
Item D, approve awarding, and then on your addendum, it's Hash's Construction with the lowest responsible bid of $234,000 for the high school roof replacement project. This is actually in your addendum packet. We were able to adhere to the bid schedule that we had set forth and actually opened bids on Thursday, April 5th. Both the letter recommendation from our architect as well as the bid tab sheet is included in your addendum packet, page 2 and 3 of 22. We had 3 bids that we received. You can see them there. We are not recommending to accept the alternate bid that was to replace the roof on the second story. We had those in the original bids as an alternate bid, but I just felt like this was not the right time and the right dollar amount to accept tonight. So we are recommending, along with the architect's recommendation, the bid from Hash's Construction. Construction will commence upon approval on, I believe, May 29th, with the completion set for August 8th. The due diligence has been done by both the district as well as our architect on Hash's Construction. All of their paperwork, all their bid bonding, all of their previous experience has been verified, and we're comfortable making this recommendation tonight.
And just to reiterate, so the section involved is the section by the current office, the cafeteria.
It's the first floor, pretty much over the band room, the cafeteria, and the 4 or 6 classrooms on the first floor. Yeah, not the 2-story section, and not the gymnasium. So it's the area that's ponding, hoarding water. Got a lot of bags and trash cans and caution signs in the hallways and in the classrooms right now. So water is just collecting and ponding, and they're going up trying to squeegee some of it off and literally shovel the water off right now too, to try to get as much off as we can. So it's time. It's time.
Any questions about the bid or the amount? Seeing none, then could I have a motion to approve, motion and a second to approve? So moved. Thank you. Second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Moss?
Yes.
And finally, we have the culmination here of a couple of months of planning and the planning sessions with the approving the capital expenditure budget for fiscal 2019. In yellow here, that's been highlighted on the sheet, are basically the capital expenditures that we would have planned upon approval. Grand total at the bottom, and this is a little bit of a moving target, just with how quickly things change with quotes and whatnot, but a little over $587,000 that we're asking for board approval tonight. In the forecast currently, and we'll be doing an updated forecast in May, is almost $631,000. So we do have some cushion. Really not a lot has changed since the last meeting that we had. Again, we're focused in the areas of safety. We're focused in the areas of technology. We're focused with, again, the high school roof, and then our buses to continue our fleet replacement are the 4 main areas. We did scale back 2 of the door projects. Intermediate Door replacement, we scaled that back to only the front and not the side doors. And the modular replacement, door replacement at the primary, we scaled that back to the second grade only. There were some other modulars in there that we think we can get by with for another year. The roof at the high school, actually, that was a number from a few months ago. There were some things added to the specs, so that came in a little over. But there are some things there that I think we're a little high on, so I think it'll kind of cancel itself out. The only thing we're kind of waiting on that Mr. Pugh, Mr. Hahn, and myself are working on are some lighting quotes. There's a lot of availability, a lot of options right now for us to get some new lighting that would pay itself back pretty quickly. We're just trying to determine the full scope or how much we kind of want to get into that. Right now we've got high school and middle school gyms and some middle school classrooms on there, but we're still trying to get some quotes, trying to get some information on the scope of the project and then what the subsequent payback would be based on the energy efficiency that we don't currently have in some of those rooms.
There's a lot of the bulbs even in these two buildings, not this hallway here, but the T8 bulbs, so they're not very efficient. We'd be looking at LED replacements, so.
We'll update the board as we.
Savings and how quickly we can recoup that cost.
I was noticing, and maybe you mentioned, I think you did mention it in a way, with the modulars. I know here at the primary, I drive by enough to go to the pizza place after the softball games and track meets. I noticed that there's some boards on the trim that are basically rotting, so we're going to be replacing those.
Yeah, as part of our normal maintenance. I mean, it might not be something on here, but certainly normal maintenance that will.
Oh, well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So any questions on the capital expenditures budget? Seeing none, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second that one. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Mellis?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Number 8, old business. And no, it's not about me. We have A, approve the following policies. As you can see, Business Advisory Council to the Board, Emergency Management and Safety Plans, 2 of those. Drug testing for district personnel required to hold a commercial driver's license, CDL. 5, admission of homeless students, and 6, student absences and excuses. Any questions on those policies? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay. Second? Second, thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
And Mr. Mellis?
Yes. And number 9, we have superintendent's recommendations and reports.
Okay. Just a few things I want to kind of bring to your attention. This is, I believe, the 3rd year that we've done this. Jody Ranger, our curriculum director, works very hard to kind of organize the efforts around the district showcase. And it's really turned into a night that we have a lot going on. We have an art show, we have a music performance by our high school band. We also, it's really a night of kind of a celebration of our academic achievement, different clubs and programs we have, and the learning that's taking place in the classroom. It's just another way for us to share with our community what's going on here and what's taking place in our classroom. But also, it kind of focuses on a section or an area that honors our historical past and people that have made a significant contribution to the school district through service in many different ways. But also it looks at ways that we need to prepare for the future in terms of educating students in the 21st century. And, you know, hopefully you can put it on your calendar. I understand we all have things going on and it's a busy time of year, but April 24th, you should be getting an invitation to that very soon. But it's April 24th from 5:30 to 6:30 here in the Middle School Media Center. We'll have a community reception, obviously address our guests that are attending and share with them some of the things taking place in our district. And then from 6 to 7:30, the middle school gymnasium is set up with a lot of different displays and booths and different, just different programs, different classes, different middle school programs, high school, elementary. But there's a lot to learn about the district on that particular evening. And we will have a booth for the Board of Education with some handouts and things that we will provide. I don't know how you wanna man this, if you're available, you guys can let me know. But we will need 1 or 2 board members kinda at their booth, and you'll have copies of the board's goals, the mission, vision, and value statement, the guiding principles, you know, some of the things, some questions you may get about the district, but obviously we can't have more than 2 at that booth. But I don't care if you rotate every half hour, every 15 minutes, but we need somebody from 6 to 7:30, and if none of you are available, I can certainly, man that as well from 6 to 7:30, so just let me know, how you wanna work that out, and, you know, we'll certainly do that. But I wanna thank Jody, for organizing that event. There'll be ice cream here, it helps get a lot of the kids get excited about it, and so do the adults, so again, that's April 24th, or excuse me, yeah, April 24th, from really 5:30 to 6 in here, then 6 to 7:30, and then we have the art show and band performances after that. The elementary will also be having their art show over here at the primary school that night. So we'll have games, track meets, or baseball, softball games. Good luck finding a place to park, but
Yeah.
you can learn a lot about the district that night. It's April, it's May, in Ohio, so that when we talk about education, unfortunately, anymore, that means we do a lot of testing. We have the AIR assessments, American Institute of Research, they develop the state assessments. But we at the high school level, we have end of course exams, and as you know, the high school level students need to, there's 3 different options they really have to graduate. The state has provided some alternative options as well. But where they started 3 or 4 years ago was that the kids had to score 18 cumulative points on 7 end of course exams. And the Ohio graduation test no longer exists for students in high school now. But we start testing tomorrow at the high school. There's several days of testing that runs through May 1st. We also have grades 3 through 8 that will be taking assessments throughout the district coming up the following week. We have makeup testing that goes well beyond May 1st for kids that missed. The IT department, they checked all the devices. The testing is done on computers, tablets, Chromebooks, iPads, laptops, those kinds of things. But that'll take place starting tomorrow. So if you hear your kids saying that they're testing a lot, that's true. It's because it's their state required test. We have Ag Day coming up on May 2nd. It's been a long-standing tradition here in the Blue Carroll District. Our high school FFA program puts that on, and it takes place kind of out here in between the buildings and in the Arboretum. If you're available, I think it's a Wednesday, feel free to stop by in the morning, usually around 9 or 10 o'clock, things are going on, and the elementary kids are coming out. The intermediate school students come over from Lithopolis as well. And there's just a lot about the FFA program and agricultural in general and the importance that plays in our global economy, really. In terms of the May ballot issue, a district newsletter was sent out to all residents, just not parents, but all residents, outlining our facilities plan and the ballot issue. Obviously, not everybody is connected to electronic media, so we thought it would be important to get as much information out there. We do not want people to say we did not communicate, or they didn't know what the issues were, or they didn't know where to find information. Obviously, you know, there's a lot of support out there, but you have people with questions or concerns, and I wanted them to know where they could go to find answers, and that we had a newsletter put together. It was a 6-page document that addressed a lot of different areas of our facilities plan and the ballot issue.
It was a nice handout, I thought.
Yeah, Jennifer, we provided the content. I showed Jennifer some examples from some other districts over the years, and she did a great job working on that, but I hope it was informative for our residents. So I think that's it on the superintendent's report. Any questions about those items? Okay. Moving on to 9B, under students and programs. We want to recognize 4 seniors and 23 juniors inducted into the NHS National Honor Society on March 20th, 2018. The seniors are Bailey Cox, Devin Foster, Cameron Smith, and Colin Sells. In 1B, our juniors, the 23 juniors that were recognized, would be David Arnold, Vincent Broush, Elizabeth Bridge, Caitlin Dawson, Gabby Dozer, Emily Valentine, Stephanie Graham, Erica Griffith, Devin Heiberger, Hannah Huffmaker, Sydney Jones, Andrew Kim, Joe Cruz, Kendra Lash, Krista Layton, Michaela Lerner, Tess Lewis, Harrison Lynch, Patrick Malone, Patty Poling, Zach Sabo, Cameron Smith, and Matthew Stoner. That is not a mistake. There is actually another Cameron Smith.
They both have the same middle name also.
Yeah, same middle
So at my daughter's house, they just refer to her as the blonde Cameron.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with
Number 2, under 9B2 would be approve the attendance of Beatrice Pioltelli, foreign exchange student from Italy at the high school for the 18-19 school year. And then from the addendum, we have number 3, approve the following 18-19 assessment and staggered start schedule for kindergarten. Those would be A, August 15th, 16th, 17th, and 20th for the assessment appointments for individual students. August 21st and 2nd would be staggered start days. Obviously, we alternate. Half the group comes in one day, the other group comes in the next to get everybody adjusted. And then on August 23rd, that would be the first full day for all kindergarten students. And then number 4, approve the 18-19 middle school registration guide. That is in your addendum packet as well. And yeah, we've got a voting line there.
Does anyone have any questions or any discussion on the
You know, I guess I just want to let you know, there is a bill right now proposed to move the start date of school to after Labor Day.
Oh, there has been the last few years.
And I'll be honest, if everybody has to do it across the state and one school doesn't have a 2-week advantage over another on testing, I'm all about it. I mean, I think keep starting earlier and earlier. It seems like the middle of summer, and I would love if every school couldn't start until a certain date. So anyway, we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah. Of course, they had that bill for years about going from days to hours on calamity days. Finally, finally passed about the at least 4th try, because I went to the legislature back then.
But the first week of August, a lot of our staff returns, and a week later, we got kids coming.
Yeah. And if anybody wonders why we might need air conditioning in a new building or in a, it's like. So, okay, need a motion. And second? Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Brad?
Yes.
Mr. Mills?
Yes.
Okay, 9C, personnel and employment. Number 1, approved substitute list number 9 for April 2018 as submitted by the Fairfield County ESC. Number 2, approved Deborah Scott as a substitute bus driver for the remainder of the 17-18 school year. Number 3, approve the following request for unpaid leave or dock days. A, 2 days for Susan Young, May 15th and 16th, 2018. And then from the addendum, we have 2 days for Stephanie Dinsmore, May 17th and 18th, 2018. And item C, 1 day for Jennifer Chapman on May 25th, 2018. Number 4, approve the following IT workers at $10 per hour pending timely receipt of background checks as presented A through D. Number 5, approve the following as 2018 summer custodial workers as presented A through C. Number 6, approve Caleb Walls from Ohio State University for student teaching field experience with Christy Bachman at Boone Carroll High School effective August 2018 through April 2019. And approve Hannah Anderson from Capital University for school counseling clinical experience at Boone Carroll Middle School for the 18-19 school year. Number 8, approve amending the following job descriptions. A, Director of Instructional Technology. That's basically a title. In terms of qualifications and training, there were some updates there as well. That's become a very intensive position in terms of working closely with teachers and principals. And we also wanted a title change to that. There's a little bit more to it than just coordinating technology now. And then B, it's a position we already have, but the title teacher, Mr. Rozeski, why don't you add a comment here about why you wanted some changes with what you hope to see out of that program and some changes you wanted to make there?
What I'm really looking for, our Title I teachers leaving at the end of the year, and I want to make some changes where they're going to focus just working with 3rd grade teachers and students as well, providing mostly reading support, but may provide some math support as well. And I also want to use them as a resource to parents where, I put on a couple different nights for parents to come and learn about the 3rd grade guarantee. but I want that person to be included where they can give parents some strategies and things to use at home with their kids. And also, kind of working with teachers as well. I have a couple younger third grade teachers that, having that Title I teacher work within the third grade classrooms for a chunk of time versus pulling the kids out, that they can be in the room working with them there as well. Just kind of repurposing that position.
And the person leading that position is?
Mrs. Kohler.
Kohler, right.
Yeah. And then, number 9, approve the creation of the job description for elementary guidance counselor or district social worker. Obviously, as you look at the next item, we have to have a job description for a position. We have new positions proposed, which brings me to number 10. Approve the addition of an elementary guidance counselor / district social worker position for the 18-19 school year pending approval of agenda 9C9. Number 11, approve the addition of the following classified positions for the 18-19 school year. 1 middle school intervention aide. We talked about those in the planning session, and that's to help reduce the class sizes in what will be 6th grade next year. And then 1 bus driver for the middle school and high school in special routes. By doing that, we'll save some money with transportation of some of our special needs students. That will be a middle school, high school route only, which obviously right now we're transporting 8 grade levels, 5th grade through 12th grade on our buses. Just to give you an idea, we have routes currently at 68, 70, 66, 66, 62, 64. So that will help reduce the numbers down to 58, 60, 57, 53, 52. And it'll be a middle school, high school route only. That balance will work out better if we pass the bond issue or the ballot issue to go to new school, and we have more of a balance with grade configurations, with busing. We'll have obviously K to 5, which would be 6th grade levels, and then we'd have 7 grade levels with 6 through 12 being bused. Right now, the 5th graders typically ride a bus and they're packed 3 to a seat.
And we did permanent improvement money you can draw on sooner, is that correct?
Correct.
The specials routes we talked about, we have students that will have to contract with TriStar to transport 1 student to a facility outside of the district. That'll be very costly. It'll actually be more affordable to run the route. So again, it kind of helps with the efficiency as well. Number 12, approve amending the 17-18 academic supplemental contract for musical pianist group H from D. Saunders to Charity Keller. Number 13, approve the following academic supplemental contracts. For 17-18, George Bogreese for the musical coordinator at Group H, Experience 1. And for the 18-19 school year, Max Marsilio as a percussion instructor, Group E, Experience 1. Number 14, approve Andy Reeser as marching band volunteer for the 18-19 school year. Number 15, approve the following athletic supplemental contracts. For the 17-18 school year, Jim Holloway as a middle school faculty manager for the spring, for Group E, Experience 1. And for the 18-19 school year, B through E as presented with their groups and experience. Number 16, approve the following athletic department volunteers for the 17-18 school year pending timely receipt of all verifications and background checks. Greg Price for middle school softball. Number 17, approve the following volunteers for the 17-18 school year pending successful background check results. Those will be your volunteers with background checks on file or Group A. And then 18, approve the employment of the following previously retired certificated employees on a 1-year limited contract for the 18-19 school year. Remember, these have to be 1-year contracts according to our negotiated agreement, and it would be for the individuals listed A through E. Number 19, approve the employment of the following certificated on a 1-year initial sequence limited contract for the 18-19 school year. A, and that would be second 1-year contracts, and that would be as presented 1 through 7. Just so you know, new board members, in our negotiated agreement, we have a sequence for limited contracts. When people are hired, they're first given a 1 year, and then they receive another 1 year, another 1 year, and another 1 year. So they get 4 1 years, then they jump to a 2 year, and then they go to a 5 year. So that's the sequence of contracts, okay? Under 19B, the third 1-year contracts as presented 1 through 6. In 19C, the fourth 1-year contracts as presented 1 through 6 as well. Number 20, approve the employment of the following certificated employees on an extended sequence limited contract beginning with the 18-19 school year. And these would be your 2-year contracts as presented 1 through 10, as listed 1 through 10. And we have a voting line.
Okay, any questions on these supplemental contracts or the teaching contracts as listed? Anyone? Well, it'll be the first time in a long time there hasn't been a question or something on that one, and I welcome it, don't get me wrong. So, seeing that, then, can I have a motion to approve? Is there a second? Second. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Mills?
Yes.
Okay, and number 20B, approve the employment of the following certificated employees on an extended sequence limited contract beginning with the 18-19 school year. 20B, 5-year contracts as presented, 1 through 17, going on to the next page.
So are these 5-year contracts necessarily, what used to be called continuing contracts, or are they just a
No.
5-year contract?
No, they're just 5-year contracts. Continuing contracts would be another area. We don't have anybody requesting one at this point. They typically have to request this by August 1st, or by October 1st, so.
Okay, does anyone have any questions on these? There is a voting line in this also, correct?
Mm-hmm.
To top of page 7. Seeing none, then could I have a motion to approve? Second. I'll go ahead and second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Mills?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Abstain.
Number 21, approve the employment of the following previously retired classified employees on a 1-year limited contract for the 18-19 school year as presented, A through H. Number 22, approve the employment of the following classified employees on a 2-year limited contracts beginning with the 18-19 school year. Just so you know, classified employees go on a 1-year, then a 2-year, and then continuing unless it's evaluated.
Yeah, they can get it continuing much sooner than a teacher can.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not making any statement, I'm just saying they can, I don't.
So, obviously in that evaluation process, if there's somebody we would want to keep on a 1-year, we would need to address that during that evaluation process and make that recommendation very quickly. Number 23, approve the employment of the following classified employees on a continuing contract status effective with the 18-19 school year as presented, A through D. Number 24, approve the employment of the following classified substitutes for the 18-19 school year, and those are the aides and lunchroom monitors as presented 1 through 21. Number 24D, approve the employment of the following classified substitutes for the 18-19 school year. We have our cooks as presented 1 through 11. C would be our custodian substitutes 1 through 12 as presented. And D would be your school nurse substitutes 1 to 2 as presented. Moving on to page 9. Our secretary substitutes as presented 1 through 13. And transportation substitutes, which are bus drivers and van drivers, as presented 1 through 15. And then our bus aid substitutes, letter G, numbers 1 and 2, as presented as well. So a lot of different positions there.
Just a quick question,
Yeah.
So, as an example, as far as secretaries, we've got 13 substitutes listed. How often do we ever use all 13? I mean,
There's times where, first of all, our secretaries do a good job of showing up and their attendance is good. Some of these people are not used. A few of them are used every now and then. We just call until we find somebody. But sometimes they have conflicts as well, and you can't find anybody. So sometimes we'll pull at the high school. They pull a guidance secretary up to the front office and kind of cover there a little bit if you can't find anybody. In the other buildings at the middle school, it's very difficult. The nurse ends up helping out quite a bit. We have aides at the intermediate school and the primary school that try to do a little bit of everything, juggle the kids and the responsibilities there, try to answer the phones. The principals end up answering the phones at those buildings, but sometimes it's tough when you can't plan too far ahead and you just have an illness that pops up and a secretary that's out, trying to call somebody at, 6 o'clock in the morning, sometimes they already have their day scheduled and it just doesn't work out, so it can be a challenge. It's great that we have people to choose from. We're trying to get everything coordinated sometimes. If we don't have several days ahead, it's tough, yeah.
Mr. Vaughn, I have one question as well in regards to like the secretaries, a lot of these substitutes. How often do we do background checks on them? A lot of them, I'm sure, repeat every year.
Yeah, it's once every 5 years on the classified.
Unless they're new, and then we would require one within the past year.
Yeah, if there's somebody new on this list, it's in our policy as well. The same thing with classified employees. Yeah, not bus drivers, but the other classified positions is once every 5 years. Teachers, when they renew their license, they typically go through that. So, did we get a motion?
No, we haven't got that far. Does anybody have any questions about all the listings for hires and?
It's a lot.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? No. Go ahead and take roll call, please.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Mills?
Yes. And it's quite a change from what we used to have. We used to have somebody who always disagreed with the retiree hire, and it's really kind of nice that we're just moving right on through.
Just so you know, some things over the last few years with evaluations of certified employees have changed with the new evaluation system in Ohio. It's actually 4 or 5 years old, but we've been using it for 3 years. Our negotiated agreement, we probably need to update one area. It still says that we will notify staff members of their status by the 30th of April, and the state law now is actually now June 1st. So it's something that we could look at, moving this back if we needed to, because we actually have until May 1st to evaluate people and enter that data in the ETBIS. So in the future, I don't know if it'll always stay. We have 1 more year on this contract, and we'll acknowledge that, but we may try to adjust that in the future, so it's consistent with the state law. So, again, you might be wondering why we have so many of these, but with our certificated employees, the contract says April 30th, so that's why we're doing it now. Okay.
So is the only reason to move it back to the 30th to be in line with the state?
It gives the, yeah, I mean, to be in line with most districts in the state. I mean, their negotiated agreements don't say April 30th, but also to be, like I said, to be in line with the state, and also to give the administration and supervisors, those people, time to evaluate everybody, because again, we still have half the month of April that we could be doing evaluations. It's just a very busy time with testing and things, and sometimes they feel kind of rushed as we approach that that time frame. So, and it would also give me even a little bit of May to get those things done in the future. So, so we got a motion. Did we vote?
Yes, we voted.
All right.
There's
a lot here, sir. D, contracts and agreements. Approve Student Protective Agency as a provider for student accident insurance for the 18-19 school year. And number 2, approve a contract for security services for the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office for a school resource officer for the 18-19 school year. Obviously, we talked a lot about this during our planning sessions. The Sheriff's Office has been in to present as well.
So do you have a candidate to hire yet?
No, what we have to do, once we approve the contract, you sign it, we'll send it to them, they then post their job, they'll have the internal process at the Sheriff's Office, because they have an agreement they have to follow as well, but then they'll start interviewing candidates, and once they narrow down 3 or 4 people that fit what they're looking for a resource officer, we are then involved, and they'll coordinate with us this summer to interview a few candidates as well to select that.
Now, this is just a suggestion, so you don't have to, obviously, you don't have to follow it, but I noticed that Licking County put in the different Licking County schools that have hired a resource officer. Maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea for us to do the same thing, just to say that, when we go to hire somebody, just so people know that we have a resource person here now.
Yeah, no.
I mean, when we have to have somebody permanent,
Yeah, we have communicated that we're using a special duty officer with their families, but I think when we get that person in place as we come back for next school year, obviously, one area of focus this spring has been trying to improve the security with our current facilities as best as we can, and the other things we've done. Obviously, we talked about the door barricades, the SRO special duty officer, but that would be something that obviously would be a feature as we come back next school year. The Student Protective Agency is it's student accident insurance for mainly, well, for sports and things, but we offer it to all of our families if they want to, obviously if their child, if they think their child could get injured here at school and they want to have an insurance policy on that, that's something that we typically offer every year. We've been using the same provider, Travis, for
A long time.
yeah, a long time, so. Nothing under E other and nothing under F under personnel and resignations and retirements at this time. And
Probably need to vote on those two.
what's that?
We should probably vote on D1 and 2. I don't know if there's a line.
No, we don't have voting on here. Probably
This-
should.
Okay, so we do need a voting line here under D2.
Okay.
Motion.
So is there any discussion on D1 and 2? Anyone like to make a motion? I'll make a motion. Second? Second. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Millis?
Yes.
All right, I'm sorry, nothing under other and nothing under personnel resignations and retirements, so.
Okay, go ahead.
Back to you.
Okay, new business, we have approved canceling the planning section scheduled for April 18th, 2018. And is there any question about that? I have a question. For some reason on my calendar at home, where I write things with handwriting, because I'm looking to get a new cell phone where I can put it on the cell phone, believe it or not, guys. Anyway, I did have April 30th highlighted. Is there some reason I would have April 30th highlighted? Was that for a policy meeting or something?
Let me check.
I don't remember. I didn't put down, but I had April 30th. BOE.
I don't know if that was one of the dates we had for
Okay,
for
for a
planning
possible.
session.
Okay.
I think it was, and we changed it.
We changed it, okay, to the 18th, all right. I thought that was the other
I
possible.
think that was one, but I need to change it. Actually,
So you're being a pain then?
Pretty much.
Just kidding.
We're at the point where we've talked a lot about the wish list items, personnel, the capital outlay. You know, we didn't feel that the high school roof obviously was approved tonight. We didn't feel that we had any huge items for April. If you guys, and Stacy, obviously she's not here, but if you feel comfortable, we would recommend canceling that meeting and then just holding the normal board meeting in May. And then probably keep that planning session, because that'll be after the ballot.
And the
issue.
board meeting will be after the
The board meeting will be after.
the election.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call please.
Mr. Abbott? Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Millis?
Yes. And 11, board reports and information. Okay, we'll start with number 1, facility management, Mr. Millis and Mr. Abbott. Mr. Abbott, do you have anything?
No update.
Personnel, labor, and management, nothing there. I'm aware. OSBA representative,
Yeah, I'm gonna get with Sean and, Jennifer. I think I'm gonna attend a conference on the 27th and 28th of April.
oh, good for you.
I think it's $275 to register. It's really a leadership conference, and there's a lot of, information they're going over as far as legislations, things that are outstanding. I think I'm gonna attend that on Friday and Saturday.
Policy, we met a while back, and things are,
We do have an update, Sean, and anything that's going on.
The next one should be coming out here
May, I think.
in May. So we'll have to schedule one probably late May, or might try to catch it the first week of June, once we get out of school.
Number 5, safety, health, and wellness.
Then we have I'll let Stacy know, it's been on the calendar, I think on Monday, we have a wellness committee meeting, probably safety will probably be a big discussion of that, so I'll follow up with Mr. Peltier, who kind of helps spearhead that, and obviously Stacy can attend as well.
Yeah, and anything with finance?
I'd like to meet with the finance liaisons and Mr. Hahn with May upcoming with the 5-year forecast and the changes to the classified and administrative salary schedule. It's hard to go through it in a short board meeting time period, so I think it'd be good maybe with the 4 of us, 35 minutes, 45 minutes, nothing too too long just to get together, maybe that week before the board meeting and go through what kind of goes into the forecast, any suggestions, input, go through some of the salary increases and just make sure that as financial liaisons that you're comfortable with that. We'll send out something. The meeting on the 14th, maybe that week, I know it's election week and all that, but maybe something in that prior week to make sure we're on the same page.
K&B, we got upcoming PTO booster and board meetings. A lot of times we find out the dates aren't right, or the times. We've got athletic boosters, they still meeting tonight? We get them last
Those
time.
are the dates, they haven't notified us of any changes.
Music boosters tomorrow night, elementary PTO. High school PTO. District showcase we talked about, junior senior prom, Alum Shrine Center, where is that at now?
Well, it's
'Cause
torn down, but they bought a new
Torn down.
facility over in Grove City, right next to I-71 and,
Okay.
what's that first exit there for Grove City?
Stringtown.
Yes, I went to Gulf Galaxy first, and then I went to Go Body New City, yes. Music boosters, middle school PTO, and Board of Education regular meeting on the 5th. I had one question for Sean. It's, you said, I think a while back, that you have something coming up on April 11th, that you're gonna go talk to a group. Do you want another body? If I can find my way to get there, that's fine.
You're
I'm
welcome
making fun of
to.
myself, yes.
I'm scheduled to talk with the Lithopolis Masonic Lodge. Some of them are residents, some of them are not.
Oh, I know what that is, yes.
It's right there in front of the intermediate
Intermediate,
school.
yes.
It's 6 p.m. So, it's been a month since I talked with them, but that was the date that we had determined. And tomorrow night I'm with a group, just at somebody's private house, like a community coffee. And
So how is it going for you?
good questions. I think people feel more informed when, there's that dialogue and that discussion. Meeting with seniors at Carroll Place and the Arbors as well. So got couple other community coffees with some residents that have invited